Wrong button. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to kind of a different style video. Today we're going to be doing more like a podcast or a roundtable type of video where we're joined by a couple people that we've been discussing all the different stuff with on the Survive the Ark about the new thing that's been leaked, or they're teasing it right now on the website. You can go take a look at it over at survivetheark.com. I've just been going to it really quick by survivetheark/g/ and then it takes you right to this page that we're looking at right here. And they've been bringing up a whole bunch of things that you could decipher, everything like that, and then yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so let me introduce the other people here in no particular order. Let's go. Let's see. We have 98 Dime. Say hello.
Hey.
Hey. All right. And then we have Ilaria. Say hello.
Hello.
There we go. And then we've got P. Willie.
Hey.
There we go. And P. Willie's shy, so yeah. All right. And then also we've got Ryoden. And then of course you guys know me. I'm Phlinger. Yeah. All right. So we were just discussing, and we decided to start turning on the recording here. While we were talking, we were talking about a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Hey, let's just pause this for a sec. Let's turn on the recording, and then let's start talking about it. So we were first off, we were discussing about these little symbols down here in the corner. How to me this looks like an arc symbol, and then it looks like two batteries, and then maybe these are arcs. I'm not sure. I mean, this might be like the island and scorched earth and aberration or extinction or something like that. And Ryan, you were saying?
Well, when you ascend, your implant changes, and I'm wondering, are those what it changes into? The different things that are the little images that show up on there. I'm gonna have to pull up the website and see if I can find them.
Oh, you know, by using that logic, that would actually make the arc, where it says arc right here, that would actually be the island itself, and then you have the overseer path right here, and then you have scorched earth, and then you have aberration, and then you have extinction. That would kind of slot the things into place.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, Phlinger, one thing you can do, if you use your directional arrow keys on your keyboard, it'll actually move the image around for you so you can see better.
Oh my gosh, mind blown!
You can also zoom in and out.
Oh man, okay, now this is cool. Oh hey, look at that! Woohoo! All right, yeah, we've got stuff. But also one thing that I wanted to mention, a thing that I wanted to start off with here, and I'll bring them up, I have them favorited, is P. Willie's actually been working on deciphering all the things. Now, I haven't seen any of these codes. I mean, people have been showing them in Discord. I've just been coming to this and taking a look at it. And Don, you said that the laser turned from purplish, bluish to red this morning?
Ilaria mentioned, yeah, that the laser changed along with several other of the images that you see around, I guess, the central column. Those were all either blue, they had different depictions on them, different text, just various things.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, P. Willie has translated all of these things for us.
Yeah, let's go.
I think, Ilaria, you have them written down.
Yeah, Ilaria wrote them down.
The very first thing that was...
That's the first actual one. Technically, the very, very first one that was released was, this is not Arc 2.
Right, so now we know it's not Arc 2.
It's not Arc 2.
Everybody was hoping for that it was going to be Arc 2, but it's not Arc 2. They flat out said that right at the very beginning. It's just not going to happen, at least not right now. So, yeah, but this is the first one that P. Willie put in Discord, and it's decrypting incoming data stream. So, all right, and I'm going to see if I can click through a bunch of these here really quick as we go. See, I got to scroll down. Open original. And see, here's another one. It's command elevation request granted. So something is elevating the authorization levels for whatever's inside the code. Now, we've been talking about a lot of the Explorer nodes and stuff like that you find throughout the island. More specifically, Helena, the one who waits, and question mark. At least to me, those ones right there have the most amount of knowledge about going forward. And
so I looked into it a little bit more, and it's confirmed that question mark is the one who waits. It's the same author.
Right. Yeah. Because that's I assume that question mark was Helena after she merged with the one who waits. Because as you read the final Helena things, she's climbing the ladder, and then you merge that with the one who waits as their final ones, and they're getting prepared for this merger. And so I imagine that question mark, the ones that were added after Extinction was added were oh, the one
After Extinction, those were the ones that came before Extinction.
Were they the ones that came before?
Released.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
the question mark ones were the ones leading up to Extinction, getting us all ready to.
Okay, well,
and like if you go ahead.
No, okay. Well, I was just gonna say that I think question mark is Helena and the one who waits that have been merged, because I don't know. I know a lot of people have come to different conclusions about the timeline and everything. I know there's Reddit posts and stuff like that where they outlined or they laid out the sequence of how they went. But if you take out the majority of those, you know, the ones from Santiago, the ones from Diane, the ones from Mei Yin, and you just take those out of the equation, and then you read the Helena ones, and then you read the one who wait ones, and then you read the question mark, and then you start to get a feel for how the timeline is spread over eons. And I don't know, at least to me, that's what it that's the way I think it's laid out. It's like the original survivors, the ones that wrote the notes, happened hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago. And then
Well, I think that part is accurate, that the original survivors, the ones who left these notes, they came before the players, the characters who were controlling. In fact, that's actually even incorporated into the story, into the part of the game where the one who waits, if it's a little abstract to figure out exactly what order they go in, but if you put them into an order, then it tells a pretty concrete story of introducing she who waits, introduces herself, tells us what's going on, then tells us when you make planetfall, when you get down to Earth, I'll tell you what your name is. And then from there, it transitions into the dossiers that are specifically labeled as She Who Waits or The One Who Waits.
Right.
And in there, if you read those in order, they tell you, all right, I'm the one who waits, and I'm defined by my action, right? I don't know what name you call yourself, but I can give you a name based on what you are doing, what your actions are, and you are the ones who try again.
Right.
And it's specifically referring to the fact that she was able to implant into the code of the arcs the resurrection, the respawning mechanic. Because prior to her doing that, which only was facilitated by her merging with Helena, was when she was able to then get a that's how she was able to convince the arcs to reuse the minds of the people who were dying and respawning them right from that point, rather than presumably taking the minds from somewhere out of history like we've seen happening and putting them into new bodies every time.
Right. See, I read that slightly differently, because it's what the one who waits number 7 or something, and I read it as, you know, kind of like a scientist looking down at their creation, you know, more like a Dr. Frankenstein kind of thing. Because to me, the conclusion I've come up with kind of is the one who waits is like a rogue computer program inside of the ARC system. Everything else is corrupted except for the one who waits that has kind of pulled itself away. It was created out of nothing, out of like a one of the system checks with a 0.0001% chance of happening, but over, you know, hundreds of thousands of years, that becomes inevitability. So that is what created the one who waits, that eventually started seeing that there was a problem inside of the ARC infrastructure, the ARC program, and then started working on a way to solve the problem. And the clones was one of the methods that it decided on. And that was where it was talking about the idea of coming out with the clones, and then the next one, I think it's The One Who Waits 8, is where, at least to me, the way I read it is that was the success of the original clone. That was, that's the first clone that happened. That was their response to it. It's like, I give to you, life and stuff like that. And we did it. I reached into her and I was able to give her life. And
well, she was specifically talking about Diana there.
how do you know?
Why wouldn't it be?
Because it doesn't have to be Diana. I think it's just a lot of times people, when you're thinking about things, you're like, oh, well, here, this makes sense. We could just insert Diana in there, and then all of a sudden it gets formed in your mind that connection's there. That's just the way it is.
To be fair, Diana #1 on Extinction was her saying, okay, I was dead. What am I doing here?
Right.
And actually talking to The One Who Waits, and this happens pretty much immediately after Helena ascends. We do know that. Helena leaves, Diana wakes up on Extinction and goes, what?
Yeah.
And as Diana is musing about this, she gets this voice inside her head that later Mei Yin is written as saying, no, I trust her. The way she talks feels very familiar to me, presumably Helena, and says, oh, well, I remember, she says, I remember a voice, help, you have to help. And now, she winds up talking to that voice going, it's like, oh, is it that voice? Did it do it to me? Oh, that's creepy. The voice just answered me. It said yes.
Yeah. Is it that voice? Did it do this to me? Okay, that's creepy. The voice just answered me. It said yes.
Right. Yeah, see, I don't know. I mean, but the thing that I've been thinking about is that, because for that to happen, you have to have them running in tandem. You have to have The One Who Waits writing theirs at the same time that Diana and Helen are writing theirs, which I don't think that's exactly what's going on.
Well, that only possibly happens if, in this case, time is linear.
Right. But then again,
so,
also, the ARC thing has pulled. Who's the guy that came from ancient Rome, and then you have some grad students that came, and then you got some that are from the future, and they've just been ripped out of space and time and put on the ARC.
Right.
Right, which I don't think were part of the clones. I think they were actually another side attempt of the One Who Waits' plan to fix the ARCs. While it was working on the clones, it decided that, hey, this is also another option, so we can pull them, put them down there. Because if you notice, the only one that's able to respawn is Diana. All the other ones, when they're dead, it's over. It's kaput.
Right, but there are clones in existence during their time on the Ark. They visit a chamber that's filled with them.
But how do you know that those are clones being used? How do you know they're not actually working on them, and then Helena discovers the cloning device as it's being worked on? See, that's one thing that I had. I was looking for the smoking gun on, hey, these are in use, but they never say that.
I think we all agree we wish that these rooms were actually in the game so we could go poke around them.
Exactly. That would be amazing, being able to walk into these rooms and be just like, oh, hey, this is great. But yeah.
But certainly at the end of everything, now the last of the Explorer notes we have is Diana and Mei Yin on Extinction. They have successfully not defeated, but driven off the King Titan with the Megamech.
Right.
And with the help of The One Who Waits / Helena, they're off to find a Rot Prime.
Right. Yeah, and maybe that's what they're hinting at is they're going to, here, let me show you back on this. Maybe that's what they're hinting at, is that there's something else right here that we're about to ascend. I think that what they're hinting at is the next expansion. At least I hope that it is. So,
I mean, it would make sense. The way this is looking, it's got a very, albeit more advanced technologically, it's got a very aberration type feel, and Arat Prime is on the dark side of the planet.
On Earth?
Yes.
On Earth.
It is.
That would be
It is
cool.
100. It is completely opposite side from Extinction.
Well, if that is the way it is, then because when you ascend, well, when you beat the game, when you finally beat the game, I mean, we've all seen it, we've been there. You hear at the end when you beat it on alpha, there's that roar.
I've heard.
So there's some interesting bits with that roar, because apparently it's can be the roar, which we've all heard, and if you start playing with wavelengths,
Yeah.
it can actually says, "I'm coming for you,"
Ooh, now that's
Implying
something I didn't
Rockwell.
know. Oh, that
implying
might.
Rockwell, or perhaps implying. So we know through the notes that, because that there was an impact, and after that is how element came to be. And in Diana and
Santiago.
Santiago's time, they had element. They were using it, but nothing bad had happened yet.
And Santiago even says how the amount of element in the soil, in the atmosphere everywhere is hundreds of thousands of times more than what he was familiar with in his time.
Right.
So he supposes that something must have happened to spread the element around, and he's guessing it must have been a war.
Right. He said
firing weapons over and over everywhere.
Right. He said it
getting
had
it
to
to
be a
disperse.
100-year-long war, or more time of just using it in every day, because all the exhaust that was being expelled from using it. It could have been war, or it could have been the other thing, which makes both of them make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But all of it started with some sort of impact and discovery, and so they got the original element from somewhere, or the source of the original element from somewhere.
That's why
My
aliens.
current fun Yeah, well, that's the thing. My current fun theory is, eventually so much of this element got into the soil that the purple that we see, all that the liquid element, which is what turned Rockwell,
Uh-huh.
though the dude was kind of insane anyway,
Right.
which we're then combating on extinction, needed to come from somewhere. What if that something is the original source of the element that humanity kept purifying to turn it into this great new power source, and then it lost control of it?
Ooh. Well, and
What
also
it-
they do talk about what is the one entry where they say that about how the element is traveling through the earth trying to find the heart of the earth.
Yeah, like actually seeping down into the magma and the core and going all the way to the center of the earth, the purple tendrils reaching out and destroying
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It was in that same note. I think it was Helena saying it one of her visions when she was. So my theory about the one who waits it's from two different things. One, the one who waits says that she's younger than all of the other Homo Deus. She admits she is a Homo Deus.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean, the literal transmission means that we are human gods, but that's not really what we are. The others might have thought so, but she says that she's a Homo Deus, and that the others are overseeing their arcs. So the overseers on the arcs are also Homo Deus, but they're so abstract from what they were originally that's what you referenced, the whole 0.0001% chance of a fault coming on. Well, on 12 tries, it's a huge aberration. If it shows up on a trillion tries, then it's guaranteed to happen.
Right.
One thing I did see perusing around on the Survive the Ark forums is there was one lore entry. It's the story of Ark and how our survival evolved. And to touch on what Alaria and Raiden were saying, something catastrophic had to have happened to spread the element, because in the notes it's been said that when you fired like a tech rifle or something, you've got molecules or spores that come off of that.
Right.
And apparently in this lore entry in the year 2119, three obelisks came down to the Earth's atmosphere, just kind of stopped. They hovered. Humans tried to interact with it, trying to cut into the door, trying to get in, find out what's going on. they opened up and out dropped these machines. I'm guessing. Now, when you fight the overseer on the island, some of the mobs that are in there are the same mobs that are on Extinction.
Mhm.
You know which ones I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The ball type robots?
Yeah.
The defender units.
Right.
Defense units.
Okay. I'm thinking that those defense units are what dropped out of those obelisks and what started a prolonged war.
Well, except that the obelisks were the prototype created on Earth at Sanctuary to prepare the. They were the prototypes. They were the ancestors of the arcs. So
Right.
where did you?
But
Yeah.
Well,
I've never
in
heard
the
that.
entry, in the entry, it says 3 unknown obelisk-shaped vessels.
Where-
Not necessarily obelisks.
Where's that in the lore? I haven't heard that.
Hold on just a moment.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, another thing that because Rockwell in the the Explorer notes, he wasn't defeated in the Explorer notes. He was just trapped. So
right.
yeah, but in order for us to ascend, we have to go. But what's weird is that the group of survivors in the Explorer notes, they never truly ascended off Aberration. They created the portal and then got off there after they trapped Rockwell.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. I didn't realize until we really read through all these notes is the whole ascension process is it's part of the arcs. Like if you it's a way for you to travel between the arcs, but in order to get out of the system itself, and it's called the system, you have to break the rules, and that's why you have to go to the Aberration arc where the survivors in the Explorer notes, where Santiago built the gateway. You have to use that to get onto Earth in order to fix the system, in order to initiate the reseed protocol. And actually, that's one of my other theories about this whole thing we're witnessing here with the countdown and all of these notes that are being presented. What if we're reading into it a little bit too much? What if instead of this being like some unknown thing, it's just a visualization of what happens at the end of Extinction?
See, that's what I'm leaning towards as well.
This is the reseed protocol being initiated.
Right. Although there's a couple that P. Willie has been. Oh, here, this one right here. This is one that the ecological systems are conditions predictive, but then there's this next one, specimen simulation mode cooperative. What?
Well, we do all have specimen implants, so maybe the cooperative part is that we're not currently fighting each other?
Maybe it's the specimen simulation mode as cooperative means they're using it. The machine is fighting back. The corrupted ARC system is fighting back from the reseed protocol.
Well, so okay, there's a couple of things that we know. The reseed protocol, the arcs are supposed to come down and fix the Earth. One of the arcs, we know, Aberration, is broken and inhabited by a megalomaniacal creature, Rockwell, right? So he might be the one yelling, "I'm coming for you," in that purple obelisk that's slanted and not working properly.
Oh, well, it is coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back down. And it's coming back down as a corrupted arc because it's filled with liquid element that is not good.
Right, and then they were saying that in the Explorer notes when they were on Aberration that none of the obelisks were working properly.
Right, because they blew them up. I mean, that's how Aberration got broken, was Diana and Santiago's team literally took a bomb to the Overseer's chamber and blew it up. They're the ones that broke it.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's not just that they defeated the overseer; they destroyed his overseeing of the ark.
Right. So maybe I don't know. That's weird. I was gonna try to take this. I was gonna try to think about this in a different way, as if like the aberration one was their first one, but that would make zero sense because they went aberration the third thing. So yeah.
Well, one of the interesting things about the aberration is you think that you're like one of my earlier theories was because it was flawed, you were being sent there on like you had no choice but to go there.
Mhm.
But when you read Rockwell and Helena's notes on when they left Scorched Earth,
Mhm.
Rockwell actually specifically picked the aberration arc because it had all of the element in vast quantities.
Right. Well, Rockwell started going a little bit nuts because he arrived on Scorched Earth 3 weeks before Helena, and
Oh,
then
see, I don't think that that's true.
that's what they
No, I
said.
don't think it. Yeah, well, okay. So the Helena makes a comment from Rockwell saying she says that Rockwell says that he arrived here earlier, and so maybe there's some sort of a twist in the time because Rockwell's story was that he had heard Helena was captured, so he went to um, Gaius there to try and negotiate a surrender. So he came after the whole battle. That's what his story to her was. But
Right.
then Rhea says, well, I saw the flash of light indicating that someone had come here, but it was before the flash of light that you arrived in, Helena.
Right.
So his story is not true because he got here before you did.
Right. Well, he was clearly lying to them.
Yes. So I think it was his attempts to cover his lie that's the only reason there was any kind of time travel going on there.
Well, I don't think there was any kind of time travel. I just think that he arrived there earlier and he was kind of doing some stuff without wanting Helena or anybody else really to know what was going on.
Well, especially since you follow his notes even at the end of the island, and the dude's already off his rocker. He's thought that Helena was going behind his back, trying to keep these discoveries from him, and that's one of the reasons why he was keeping his presence with Gaius a secret and never letting her see him.
Oh yeah, that's true. But then also, most maniacal people, they all tend to think that kind of way. So yeah, it
Very
fits the
true.
personality type. But yeah, all right, here, and here now I'm kind of, let's see, what was the last one? Oh yeah, host system directive updated, which means that something within the system. Now I'm not sure what these are. I mean, these could be actually just the systems of the arcs that it could be the corrupted one or the not corrupted one. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it just updated itself to compensate for whatever realization it went to. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, so another thing that's interesting is when the one who waits talks about the creation of the arcs. She's talking about home and how humans need a home, and she mentions that there were other contingencies made
Mm-hmm.
beyond the arcs, but the arcs were always the first choice because we want to preserve Earth. Earth is our home.
Right.
Well, what if what we're looking at is one of these other contingencies
Mm.
somehow coming active? I don't know. I still think my favorite theory is that the element was not just a fluke. It wasn't just some random meteor that hit the Earth that we took advantage of. What if it was a terraforming project by some alien species out there, and that's why it has a intelligence to it, that's why it has the ability to corrupt and control, like, and maybe not terraforming so that they can come here to live here, but like it stopped the planet. It was turning everything on the planet into more element. What if it was like hitting a block of cheese with some mold spores so that you can get the whole block of cheese to become Gruyere or blue cheese or whatever?
Right.
You're okay. There's a good planet that's in the right spot. Let's hit it with an injection and come back in a few millennia, and it'll be all element, and we'll be able to harvest it. And that's something we have to fight against to stop that from happening.
Adding to that, maybe it was that civilization's last-ditch effort to save themselves. Maybe the element itself is the species.
Well, it could be. It doesn't have to be
right.
Just because they're fighting us doesn't mean that they were, oblivious and heartless.
Well, we don't know if they were fighting us. It could have been human on human. I mean, that's one of humans' best strengths is killing each other. So, yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Hey, that actually reminds me of something that way back when, way before before there were explorer notes, before even I think there was more than just the broodmother to fight. There was a lot of theory crafting going on about what the story of the arcs were, what was going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the official responses we got, I think it might have come from Jat, I don't remember exactly, but he responded to a thread that was talking about, all right, it must be aliens. Look at this high tech stuff. And his response was, guys, it doesn't have to be aliens.
But because aliens, put your hands up.
Not necessarily aliens.
Right.
But they never said it wasn't aliens.
Right. And then here, let's look at this one. It's resolution schema updated. Okay, so whatever system that it was supposed to be, I mean, the end game, whatever resolution it was supposed to get to has been altered.
Because the previous directive result was a fail.
Right.
So somebody is forcing the system into an update. And honestly, now what gets me is one of the ones that P. Willie has deciphered is that verify UID fingerprint.
Right.
So, and you can see in the screenshot, there's like a hand scanner there. There's a biometric.
Right.
So who's actually around who's giving a fingerprint?
Right. And then here's also another one. Hold on. Subsystem Guardian Specimen. Now that right there, it's not specific, but...
So that's the one.
Is there a Guardian we haven't seen?
Ones, maybe. That's one of the ones busy cycling around the beam now, and that's the one that's got some sort of a backside that we can't get a clear shot of to decipher.
Oh,
yeah,
this whole time
I've been trying to get it to come around so I can get that 4-line one, and it's just far too blurry for me.
So I just noticed something about all this in the where we started our conversation about those icons stacking up, and right above that, doesn't that look like a targeting reticule where it's moving every so often, trying to pull into your mouse is on it right there.
Right.
That thing looks to me like it's a targeting reticule, like it's trying to lock onto something.
Okay.
What does it say right next to that? What is the thing that the script that's kind of pointing at it? Which one is that?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
P. Willie, you were the one who deciphered all these. Which one is that?
Yeah, let me have a look.
Okay. Because, I mean, I'm honestly hoping that this is the prelude to the next expansion pass for Arc.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, I'm really hoping. I mean, maybe once that you ascend, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've been looking at this stuff over here, and I'm hoping that it's like once you ascend from extinction, or once extinction happens, all of a sudden you go to, I mean, you become like, the whole... Because the clones, they're not the Homo Deus, are they?
No, they're not.
No. Maybe we do, or maybe we fight against... I don't know.
That's one thought. We could be fighting against the Homo Deus.
Right.
It could be... so that brings into another couple of things. One of Santiago's notes says about how... wow, who would have thought? You'd figure that the utopia would be an AI managed... an AI managed utopia. is he referring to something that he actually is witnessing? That the sanctuary, that the arcs are managed by this AI? Well, we know that the AI, one of the AIs, is conceivably she who waits. She's the Homo Deus. Maybe Homo Deus is the AI that this future civilization came up with.
Right.
Literally taking a human's consciousness and injecting it into the data.
Okay. Well, I mean, who says that natural human evolution in hundreds of thousands of years won't be our minds into a machine? I don't know. So,
I mean, evolutionary biologists might say that putting you into a machine isn't exactly evolution, but we'll
right,
yeah.
right. Well, hey, day jobs aside, but
But if you were suddenly faced with a problem that you had to solve because something was going wrong, and therefore you suddenly had all of these scientists uploading themselves into this system to try to help fix and combat it.
right. I mean, and sci-fi is as sci-fi does. So, yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I kind
Phlinger,
of
I'm
like.
about to send you a screenshot of that code.
Okay, which one?
The one we were just talking about, the
one by
next to
the
the reticle.
potential
Okay,
targeting.
yeah. Just put it in the chat.
Yeah, let me save it real quick. Hang on.
Okay. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, throughout all of this, it definitely has the feel of some sort of computer was coming out of sleep mode and receiving new data. Somebody is literally making it run a system check, and somebody's busy inserting passwords and fingerprint IDs. So who's doing all that?
okay, so this is the one that Dine just sent me.
Oh, host system directive updated.
That's the one that's on the targeting lock.
Yes.
Right.
Host system directive updated. So is it trying to, now that its system directive is updated, is it trying to lock onto that?
So today's started with the change authorization and the whole string of letters and numbers verified. And those same numbers in that change authorization, we've seen a couple other places throughout. It's the same as the fingerprint ID. So it's
Okay.
the same person updating somehow.
So all of these other ones have been deciphered. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue. Sorry.
That's okay. So today we have the change authorization verified, the ecological conditions predictive, specimen simulation mode cooperative, specimen maintenance protocol updated, host system directive updated, resolution schema updated, and that half that center one spinning is the subsystem guardian specimen.
Okay.
And the entire place has turned red.
Right. And so they're getting ready to launch whatever. But then again, they only have 3 days and 22 hours left. So.
I mean, when you say launch, does this thing not look like it's some kind of beam shooting out into space?
Actually, I think because here, look at this.
Tube.
See, look at this. I actually think that wrong button is that this is a portal. I mean, this.
It looks like the rings on Extinction.
Yeah, it really
does.
Yeah, an
aberration.
aberration. Yeah. I mean, because you can go way out like this and go all the way down. I think this is something coming back to Earth that, yeah.
Or maybe leaving Earth.
Ooh. That could be.
Because that's another, that was also a clue in one of the Explorer notes, how the portal, the gate to get to Earth was modeled after the teleporters that were underneath each of the obelisks.
Right.
And it's specifically mentioned that the gate is so much larger than the obelisk platforms, because it's teleporting you to such a further distance.
Right.
And he says, the farther away you go, the larger the gate needs to be.
Right.
I think those are the exact words.
Well, if you look at it like this, it actually looks like, you can see right here, there's that little bit right there, and then over here, there's this little bit going up.
It looks like an obelisk.
It does. It looks like an obelisk that's opened up, and then there's the portal right there. So everything you just said kind of could be applied to that.
That's a lot of portal.
It really is.
Here's another thought. If you look down at where the spinning text is, you see the rings around that red beam at the base there.
Yeah.
Does it look like it's going out or in? Is that beam going into it?
Looks in.
Well, then again, with most things like that in science fiction, everything like that, they have to bring it in and then project it. So
you're thinking it's taking energy from around itself and projecting it out?
Yes, and then making a focus beam.
Now, not for nothing, but metagame, we do know there have been some discrepancies in the visuals and the story between what we see in the game and what we see as part of the lore.
Right.
Like, but that you can also handle that. Like Helena saying how she just happened to stumble across this cave that had the pedestal like what was underneath the obelisks. I mean, nowhere does she say that it was a cave inside of the caldera of the volcano in the center of the island.
Right.
But then again, you could address that by saying the arcs are dynamic. They change. They fix things. Maybe the overseer of the island that Helena and Rockwell and Mei Yin Lee, that's it. What if that island that they left didn't have a volcano at first? Maybe that volcano came about because the overseer decided, the test that I've created, no, you can't pass the test, but I still have to make the test. Maybe he changed the test. Maybe he added the volcano. Maybe he literally created a volcano around the Ascension platform, the Overseer arena, because it needed to be more difficult, That touches on another thing I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Part of one of Mei Lin's notes describing Helena in the Ascension chamber talks about little glowing motes of light like fireflies floating above her. The only other place in the arc in the game that we see those is surrounding each one of these explorer notes.
Oh, yeah.
And on top of that, the explorer notes almost explicitly refer to themselves as being like a complete... Rockwell talks about keeping his journal with him. Helena talks about, I don't know if anybody's ever going to read these.
Right.
They are present in the game for us in a way that is more direct than us finding them. I mean, if it was a matter of us finding the explorer note, the journal of Rockwell, then A, we wouldn't find it anywhere on the island, and B, we wouldn't find it until maybe defeating him in his chamber on Aberration. So how does it that we have little snippets of it leading up to that?
So you're thinking they left those behind?
I think She Who Waits distributed them for us, just like she turned on the ability to respawn for us.
Aha.
And now if we even want to take that fun part a step further, just within these past few months, we suddenly now have cryopods available on all maps, not just Extinction, where the technology existed.
That's true. They could work that into the storyline.
They could. Suddenly the system is updating. How come? Why do we suddenly need this slight extra advantage? What's coming up that we're going to need all of these dinos with us?
Right.
Right. And on top of that, the ability to craft tech armor. If we are characters from the story, then the tech armor was created by Santiago, who himself was a brilliant scientist, from the future, from after Element first came to Earth.
Right.
I mean, his ability to craft it does not at all reflect our ability to access it via our engram list. So, nowhere in any of the Explorer notes does it imply that these survivors are using the implant the way that we use it in the game currently.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we're gonna see from this is the narrative of the one who waits.
Uh-huh.
She who waits, or is it's the one who waits? The narrative of the one who waits is going to continue, and she's going to explain to us what she's done to these arcs to facilitate us being in existence, us being the survivors. Or as she describes us, those who try again.
Right.
You know, to touch on the name of that character, I know you were talking about earlier how she was saying, I'm going to name you after what you do.
Right.
Why is her name the one who waits? What is she waiting for?
Well, that's like that kind of coincides with my theory, is that it's a road program that was created inside the corrupted ARC program. That because she actually, the one who waits actually specifically mentions that time has no meaning for it. So it's been there for a long time, created from nothing.
It could be. I also think that we see when May and Helena interact with her prior to when she starts sending notes out to us. I think that when they're in the that archive on extinction on the planet's surface, and Mayin finds the artifact that's glowing and suspended in air, and when Helena touches it, it shatters and becomes this little the gem that glows like light. I think personally that that's the physical embodiment of the one who waits. And
right.
The reason that it interacts with Helena so much is because Helena is, maybe it's just that she's special because she's smart, she has the right genetic code. Maybe it also has to do with the fact that she was deemed successful at having conquered the Ark, the island, and the scorched earth, and she ascended off of both of those. Whereas Mei Yi-Lin only ascended off the island and then was gated out of Aberration.
Good point.
I think maybe I'd be more inclined for it to just be that she happens to be compatible, more so than that she met certain parameters that the other characters hadn't.
Right. Well, Helena, she mentioned specifically that she came from 2008 Australia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Yellow Turban Rebellion was a real thing in the history of China.
Cut out.
Let me.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's thinking.
Oh.
Well, I had it pulled up here a second ago. Let me find it again.
Well, he looks. It's interesting because if you think about it, we follow Helena's path through the arcs.
Mm-hmm. Well, Helena is the main character.
She is, and you wonder if one of the reasons we are sent to Aberration is because she / the one who waits knows Rockwell is there, still feels deeply responsible for it, and is basically like, okay, please, you need to fix my mistake.
Oh, well, and not only that, but it's specifically said that you can't you can't get to Earth unless you use the gate, unless you cheat the system and use the gate that was created on Aberration.
Right. And then that was actually created by Santiago and the group of survivors right before Rockwell killed them.
Finished going insane, yeah.
Right.
Now, the Yellow Turban Rebellion, which May refers to a few times in her notes, was a peasant revolt in China against the Eastern Han Dynasty. The uprising broke out in 184 AD during the reign of Emperor Ling. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Right. Well, they mentioned quite a few times that Mei Yin is from way in the past.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, hey, that's a lot of food for thought. So,
So my final guess is I think we are busy watching what happened after we defeated the King Titan. We're watching the reseed sequence take into effect. Somebody's guiding it through, and I'm hoping the answers are going to lie for us in a Rot Prime, and that's going to be the deal.
I think it might end with a Rot Prime. I think what's my final one is I think that the arcs are coming back, but the corrupted arc system is modifying itself to not just give in quietly. And then there'll be another expansion, trilogy of expansions, and the first one will be this one right here, or this will be hinting towards something that will be happening soon-ish.
Well,
No matter what, I can't wait to play it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
super excited about it.
I know, me too. All right, anybody else with some final thoughts?
Well, I just like that it opens up the possibility for new creatures, new equipment, maybe even just doing TLCs for certain creatures to coincide with when they release this. It'll be great.
Right. I mean, new toys are always good.
On the
Yeah.
thought of new equipment, one of the images that was displayed on the website here looked like a tech shield.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Well, there is tech shields already in game.
Right, but are we getting revised versions of that?
Maybe. I don't know. But hey, I say we wrap it up at that. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think it was a good discussion. So, hey, yeah, if you like the roundtable discussion, you want to see more stuff like this, I don't know how often we do it, but yeah, just with new stuff that comes along like this, yeah, give us a thumbs up down below. Leave any questions, comments. If you want to add to the conversation, leave them down below. Trust me, you're going to have everybody in here reading them, especially me. So, yeah, like I said, give it a thumbs up, not just for me, but for everybody who was involved in this, and especially for P. Willie for deciphering all this stuff for us. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, until next time, this is Phlinger Phoo and 98 Dime, Alaria, Ryoden, P. Willie, and take it easy, everybody. Everybody want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye.
All right.